You've probably spent years trying to make life fit your plans, shaping, fixing, and chasing some perfect version of peace. Yet the more you try to control, the more restless life feels. Plans collapse, expectations shift, and frustration grows. But what if life was never meant to be controlled at all? What if peace doesn't come from managing everything, but from finally allowing things to unfold in their own way? In this reflection, we'll explore what Buddhist wisdom calls the illusion of control, the quiet misunderstanding that we can bend life to our will. You'll learn how surrender is not about giving up, but about moving with awareness instead of fear. When we stop gripping so tightly, life begins to breathe again. Clarity emerges, and we start to see that peace isn't found in perfection, it's found in trust. So, as we begin this journey, take a deep breath and notice where you're still trying to force life to follow your plans. For now, loosen your hold just a little, because peace doesn't arrive when everything goes your way. It arrives when you no longer need it to. Let's begin. Lesson 1. The cup that was already broken. One quiet morning, a monk sat beside his teacher, holding a porcelain cup the master had once given him. The cup shimmered softly in the light, thin, delicate, almost alive in its stillness. The monk admired it deeply. It was his favorite possession. But one day, as he poured tea, his sleeve brushed against the handle. The cup fell, shattered, and scattered into 1,000 tiny reflections on the floor. For a moment, the monk froze in silence. Then his master smiled gently and said, "That cup was already broken from the beginning." In those few words lived the entire truth of detachment. The master wasn't speaking about loss, he was speaking about clarity. Everything we hold, everyone we love, every joy we experience already carries the seed of change. Nothing in this world is truly ours to keep. Detachment doesn't mean turning away from beauty. It means seeing its fragility as part of its beauty. When we love something knowing it won't last, our love becomes purer, less about possession, more about presence. We suffer because we try to make the temporary permanent. We hold on to people, roles, or moments as if they could last forever, and when they shift, we feel betrayed. But life never promised permanence. It promised movement. The art of detachment is learning to hold gently, to care without clinging, to love without gripping, to admire without owning. So today, take a quiet moment and reflect. What in your life are you still trying to keep from changing, even though it already has? Maybe it's a memory, a relationship, or an image of who you used to be. Notice it, breathe, and soften your hold. Because when you see that the cup was already broken, you stop fearing the fall and begin to appreciate the light it once held. Lesson 2. Flowing with the river of change. Imagine standing in a river, the water rushing against your legs. You press your feet deeper into the ground, bracing yourself, trying to stop the current with your hands. But no matter how strong you are, the water keeps moving. The more you resist, the more it pulls, until you're exhausted. Not because the river is cruel, but because it was never meant to be stopped. This is how many of us move through life. We cling to what was, fight against what is, and fear what might be coming. Yet, as Buddhist wisdom reminds us, resistance is the root of pain. The river of life is always moving, sometimes softly, sometimes with force, but always with purpose. When we fight the current, we only wear ourselves down. When we learn to float, life carries us exactly where we need to be. Change isn't the enemy, fear is. It's the mind whispering, "What if I can't handle this? What if everything falls apart?" But when we pause and truly look, we realize that change has never destroyed us. It has only reshaped us. The people we once lost, the jobs that ended, the plans that failed, each of them cleared a space for something new to arrive. The problem isn't that life changes, it's that we keep demanding it to stay the same. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we trust the rhythm of life more than our need to control it. Just as a river knows how to find the ocean, life knows how to guide us forward, even when we can't see around the bend. The current may feel uncertain, but it's still carrying you home. So the next time something shifts unexpectedly, instead of asking, "Why now?" try asking, "What is life making space for?" That small question turns fear into curiosity and resistance into trust. Because peace isn't found by stopping the river, it's found by learning to float. Lesson 3, radical acceptance, the courage to see things as they are. A traveller once found himself caught in a sudden storm. The wind howled, the rain lashed against his face, and he fought with all his strength to move forward. Every step felt like resistance against an invisible wall. But when exhaustion finally forced him to stop, he noticed something remarkable. The storm was already passing. It wasn't his battle that ended it. It was time. The moment he stopped fighting, peace returned on its own. This is the heart of radical acceptance. Acceptance is not passivity. It is power. It is the ability to see things clearly, without denial or drama. It's not about agreeing with what happens, but about recognizing reality as it is, so we can act from wisdom instead of fear. Suffering doesn't come from pain itself. It comes from the stories we tell about pain, the endless inner argument with what already exists. We all do this without realizing it. We scroll through news wishing the world were different. We replay old conversations, rewriting what we should have said. We wake up dreading what the day might bring, resisting what's already here. That quiet inner friction, the fight with what is, drains more energy than any external challenge. But the moment we stop resisting, the mind begins to rest. Acceptance doesn't mean surrendering your will or giving up your dreams. It simply means meeting life where it actually is, not where you wish it to be. Because from truth, we can respond with clarity. From denial, we only react with fear. The traveller found peace not by defeating the storm, but by realizing it was never his job to control it. So take a moment and ask yourself, where am I fighting the storm instead of stepping into shelter? Maybe it's a situation you can't change, a person you can't fix, or an outcome you can't predict. Notice it, breathe, and soften your stance. Because when you stop arguing with reality, you don't lose control. You finally find peace within it. Lesson 4, the unseen pattern. Luck or misfortune, who knows? Long ago, in a quiet village surrounded by mountains, there lived an old monk known for his calm heart. One morning, a wild horse wandered into his garden. It was strong, beautiful, and unlike any horse the villagers had seen before. Everyone rushed to his home, their voices filled with excitement. "What incredible luck," they said. "You must be the most fortunate man alive." The monk smiled gently and replied, "Luck or misfortune? Who knows?" A few days later, the monk's young son tried to tame the horse. It kicked and threw him to the ground, breaking his leg. The villagers came again, shaking their heads. "What terrible misfortune! Now your son can't work," they said. The monk only whispered, "Luck or misfortune, who knows?" Weeks later, the king's soldiers came through the village, recruiting all able-bodied men for war. Every son was taken, except the monk's, who was left behind because of his injury. When the villagers heard the news, they returned once more. "You are so lucky after all," they said. Again, the monk replied, "Luck or misfortune, who knows?" This old story reminds us of a truth we often forget. Life's timing is wiser than our judgment. We rush to label what happens to us. This is good, that is bad, this is success, that is failure. But the truth is, we're standing too close to the moment to see the full picture. What feels like an ending might only be a beginning in disguise. What seems like loss may simply be life-clearing space for something that's on its way. Imagine the rhythm of the seasons. Day becoming night. Leaves falling. New blossoms appearing. The same earth breathes beneath both loss and renewal. Nature doesn't panic when winter comes. It understands that change has its own intelligence. Yet we, in our hurry, resist what life removes and cling to what life no longer needs us to hold. Not every ending is a tragedy. Some losses are invitations in disguise. They push us toward growth, depth, and clarity. Trusting life doesn't mean standing still or waiting for fate to fix everything. It means moving forward with openness, even when you can't see where the road bends. It means trusting that you are not being punished. You are being redirected. Sometimes the only reason we can't see the beauty in our circumstances is because we're too close to them. The view is blurred by emotion. But later, when the dust settles and time has softened the edges, we often realize that what we once feared losing was never truly meant to stay. And what we gained instead was something far more lasting: understanding, peace, and a quieter kind of strength. So next time life changes suddenly, a plan falls apart, someone leaves, a door closes, pause before you label it. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try whispering, "Maybe there's more to this than I can see right now." Because in the grand rhythm of life, we are not meant to understand everything as it happens. We are meant to walk with trust, knowing that even in the dark, the pattern continues, unseen, but always unfolding in our favor. Lesson 5, the butterfly and the cocoon. There's a story about a man who found a cocoon hanging from a branch. Inside, a butterfly was struggling to emerge. Its wings pressed and trembled against the shell, but it couldn't break free. The man, moved by compassion, decided to help. With gentle fingers, he peeled open the cocoon. The butterfly slipped out easily, but its wings were small and weak. It would never fly. What the man didn't know was that the struggle was part of the process. The effort to break free was what strengthened the butterfly's wings. By removing the challenge, he also removed the transformation. Growth has its own rhythm. You can't rush awakening any more than you can rush the dawn. The light doesn't explode into the sky. It expands slowly, painting the world one shade at a time. In the same way, your evolution happens quietly, in stages you may not notice. While you're busy wishing for speed, life is patiently shaping you from within. It's easy to believe that nothing is happening when the surface seems still. But even in silence, unseen work is taking place. The seed doesn't show its effort while it's underground, yet roots are forming, directions are changing, and strength is gathering. Every period of waiting, every stretch of uncertainty is part of the preparation. Patience is not inaction. Patience is trust in motion. There will be moments when you feel stuck, when no sign of progress appears, and it seems as if life has forgotten you. But remember this: even when you cannot see it, you are becoming. You're being shaped by invisible hands of time, just as the butterfly is formed in darkness before it meets the light. The quiet phases of your life are not empty. They are sacred intervals where strength is being woven into your spirit. So for now, stop fighting the stillness. Close your eyes and take one slow, mindful breath. Feel the air enter, pause, and leave again. A full cycle of creation, rest, and release. That small moment is life's rhythm unfolding inside you. Trust it. Everything that's meant to emerge will do so in its own time. Not when you demand it, but when you are truly ready to fly. Lesson 6. Meditation. The mind that settles itself. A student once came to his master with a troubled mind. "I try to find peace," he said, "but the more I chase it, the louder my thoughts become." The master smiled and handed him a glass of water filled with soil. "Shake it," he said. The student did, and the water turned murky. Then the master placed it on the table and said nothing. Slowly, the dirt began to settle and the water grew clear. "You see," the master said softly, "peace doesn't come when you control the mind. It comes when you stop shaking it." This is the essence of meditation. Stillness reveals clarity. You don't create calmness, you uncover it. Beneath the storm of thoughts, the mind already holds peace, like clear water beneath stirred-up dust. Meditation is not about forcing silence or erasing thoughts. It's about remembering that silence is already there once the mind learns to rest. When you sit in stillness, something subtle begins to happen. The mind that was running in every direction starts to slow down. The heart, which was burdened with noise, starts to listen. Thoughts may still come, but they no longer pull you away. They drift by like clouds passing across an open sky. You begin to realize that peace isn't somewhere far away. It's the space between your breaths, waiting to be noticed. You don't need incense, chants, or hours of practice to begin. Just take 2 quiet minutes, sit comfortably, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Feel the air entering, expanding, leaving. Don't try to control it. Simply observe. When your thoughts wander, gently guide them back to your breathing. No judgment, no pressure. With every breath, your awareness deepens, not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. Even modern science echoes this ancient truth. Slow, mindful breathing calms the nervous system and rewires the brain's response to stress. But more importantly, meditation teaches us a deeper kind of intelligence, the wisdom of the heart. When the mind settles, the heart begins to speak. You see more clearly, love more freely, and act more gently. So as we end this reflection, I invite you to pause once more. Inhale softly and notice the brief stillness before you exhale. That small moment of calm. That's life itself, unfolding quietly inside you. Peace doesn't need to be found. It only needs to be remembered. Lesson 7. Letting go of control. There's an old story about a man who slipped from the edge of a cliff and caught hold of a branch halfway down. He clung to it with every bit of strength he had, terrified to let go. The wind howled, his arms trembled, and he cried out for help. Hours passed, but no one answered. At last, exhausted and desperate, he looked to the sky and shouted, "Is anyone there?" A voice replied, calm and steady, "Let go." The man froze. "If I let go, I'll fall," he cried. The voice simply repeated, "Trust and let go." But fear held him tight through the long, dark night. When morning came, the sun revealed the truth. The ground had been only a few feet below him the entire time. This story is a mirror for all of us. How often do we cling to something, a plan, a relationship, an identity, believing that if we release our grip, everything will collapse? Yet most of our suffering doesn't come from what life takes away. It comes from how tightly we try to hold it. The fear of uncertainty makes us clutch for control, but the more we tighten, the more life slips through our fingers. Letting go doesn't mean losing power. It means rediscovering your strength beyond control. There is a different kind of power, one born from trust. Trust in your ability to adapt, to rise, to be guided by something larger than your own plans. Control is born of fear. Trust is born of wisdom. One shrinks your world, the other expands it. Think about how water flows down a mountain. It doesn't resist the rocks, it moves around them. It finds its own path, not by force, but by faith in gravity. In something unseen, yet certain. Life works the same way. When we stop fighting to direct every current, we begin to flow in harmony with it. You don't have to know exactly where life is taking you. You only need to trust that it's taking you somewhere necessary. Sometimes, the moment you stop pushing is the moment things begin to move on their own. And sometimes, what feels like a fall is actually a gentle landing. So take a moment now to breathe and reflect. What part of your life are you still trying to manage out of fear? Maybe it's time to loosen your grip. Maybe peace has been waiting for you just below the branch. Because the truth is simple. When you finally let go, you don't fall. You rise in a way you never could while holding on. Lesson 8. Compassion, the final door to freedom. There was once a monk who came across a small bird on the ground, striking its own wings against the dirt. Its feathers were torn, its energy fading. The monk lifted it gently and whispered, "Little one, why do you harm yourself?" If the bird could speak, it might have said what so many hearts feel. Because I made a mistake, and I don't deserve to fly. We live much of our lives the same way, punishing ourselves for the past, holding on to guilt, shame, and regret as if they were proof of goodness. But all they truly prove is how unwilling we are to forgive ourselves. A bird cannot fly while striking its own wings. Compassion is the wind that lets it rise again. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It unchains you from it. The pain happened. Yes. The mistakes were real. But they are not meant to be your prison. They were meant to be your teachers. The Buddha once said that resentment is like holding a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned first. And this truth doesn't just apply to others. It applies inwardly too. The more you punish yourself, the further you drift from the possibility of peace. Compassion is not weakness. It is a higher form of strength. It takes courage to meet your own flaws with gentleness, to sit beside your pain without turning away. Most of us were taught that growth means being hard on ourselves, pushing, correcting, disciplining. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us, a tree doesn't grow stronger by being struck. It grows through sunlight, water, and patience. You can't shame yourself into awakening. Only kindness has that power. And compassion doesn't stop with yourself. It extends naturally outward. When you learn to be tender with your own heart, you begin to see the pain in others, not as an attack, but as a reflection of their own suffering. You start to realize that those who hurt you were often acting from confusion, fear, or pain they didn't know how to carry. This understanding doesn't excuse what happened, but it frees you from the need to keep reliving it. To forgive is not to say, "It was okay." It's to say, I will not carry this anymore. The real miracle of compassion is how it restores your freedom. When you stop holding on to resentment, whether toward yourself or others, your energy begins to return. Your chest feels lighter. Your breath deepens. The world doesn't look different because it changed. It looks different because you did. The heart that was once clenched begins to open, and through that opening, love quietly returns. So tonight, take a moment to practice a simple reflection called metta, loving kindness meditation. Close your eyes, breathe softly, and repeat in your heart. May I be at peace. May those who hurt me find peace. May all beings be free from suffering. Let these words move through you like a gentle current, softening every hard corner inside. With each repetition, feel the weight you've been carrying begin to lift. Not because someone apologized, but because you chose to stop waiting for them to. Remember, compassion is the final door to freedom. The moment you forgive, you stop being bound by the story of pain. You return to the truth that has always been waiting beneath it, that you are worthy of love, that peace belongs to you, and that even the deepest wounds can become gateways to wisdom. So, breathe and let go. Spread your wings again. The sky has been waiting for you all along. Lesson 9. Integrating the teachings into daily life. It's easy to think of spiritual growth as something that happens far away, in temples, mountains, or quiet retreats. But the truth is simpler and far more profound. Enlightenment is found in ordinary moments. It's born in traffic, in conversations that test your patience, in the small pauses between tasks. Every experience, no matter how mundane or difficult, becomes part of the path when it's met with awareness. The real work of peace begins where life happens. Detachment isn't about running away from the world. It's about meeting change with gratitude instead of fear. When something leaves your life, take a breath and whisper, "Thank you for what you gave me." Gratitude turns endings into openings. It transforms the ache of loss into appreciation for what once was and for what may yet arrive. Acceptance is another daily practice. It means pausing before you judge a situation, even a small one. When the day doesn't go as planned, when someone misunderstands you, when traffic slows you down, try to catch yourself in that first moment of irritation. Ask, can I see this clearly without resistance? In that tiny pause, awareness blooms. You begin to act from clarity instead of habit. Trust is a quiet discipline. It's the art of replacing "why me" with "what is this teaching me?" Every delay, every obstacle, every twist in your story is part of your unfolding. You may not understand its purpose right now, but trust allows you to walk forward, even when you can't see the path. The river doesn't question where it's going. It flows, because that's its nature. And then, there's compassion, the thread that holds it all together. Each day, find one small moment to speak kindly to yourself. Maybe when you make a mistake, when you fall short, or when you feel like you haven't done enough. Instead of judgment, offer softness. Whisper, "I'm learning. I'm trying. I'm still growing." That small act of self-kindness becomes an anchor of peace in a noisy world. When you begin to live like this, with gratitude for change, acceptance for what is, trust in life's flow, and compassion for yourself, spirituality stops being something you visit. It becomes something you live. You start to see that wisdom doesn't arrive in grand revelations, It unfolds in quiet mornings, in laughter, in heartbreak, in the small, ordinary moments that make up a human life. So as you move through the day ahead, remember, the world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present. Every breath, every pause, every act of awareness is a doorway back to peace. Enlightenment isn't waiting in the distance. It's already here, in this very moment, inviting you to notice it. Closing reflection, the peace of allowing. You've walked through lessons of release, of trust, and of stillness. You've learned that peace isn't found by controlling life, but by allowing it. Every teaching, every story, every breath along this path has been leading you here, to this quiet realization. You don't need to chase life. You only need to trust it. For so long, we are taught to reach, to grasp, to strive for what we think will complete us. But in that endless reaching, we forget that life already knows how to unfold. The river doesn't chase its destination. It simply flows. The flower doesn't hurry to bloom. It opens when the light touches it. In the same way, you don't need to force what is meant for you. You only need to make space for it. You've learned to let go of what's heavy, to accept what is real, to trust what is unseen. Now, allow yourself to simply be, to rest in the gentle rhythm of existence without demanding it to be more or less than it is. True peace arrives not when everything is in order, but when your heart stops arguing with the moment. So, as this reflection draws to a close, take one slow, easy breath. Let it rise and fall, effortless and natural. Feel how life moves through you even when you do nothing. That's the quiet intelligence of the universe, guiding, breathing, allowing. May you trust life enough to release control, and may peace find you in the space you finally make for it.